everyone, and welcome in from across the continent and beyond for another exciting Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. If you're new to us, like so many of you are today, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. And of all the programs that we do, like 400 every school year, I'm really happy you're joining us today because today marks the beginning of a very special series. Now, Sarah Bouckoms is an amazing researcher. We've had her live from Antarctica on several times before. And so in the summer, she reached out to us and the amazing folks at Reach the World to say, look, I'm going back down to the most cool science base in the world at the South Pole to do some really cool physics stuff. Do you want to join for an epic adventure? And so absolutely, we were totally on board. We've partnered with Reach the World on an epic bunch of broadcasts over the next few months and cool resources of all kinds that you can find at this link below, and I'll share that with all our classes. And so today marks the first part of that series. So Sarah is live in Christchurch, New Zealand, just mere days away from getting to fly down in a super cool aircraft to Antarctica to go explore the white continent, the coolest place on planet Earth, and specifically to go to the South Pole to the IceCube Observatory. Again, the fact that we have a cool physics lab at the South Pole is something that everybody should know and is super, super cool. And I'm so glad we're getting to explore it together here today. So without further ado, I'm going to zip it. None of you are here to hear me talk. Sarah, welcome to the broadcast, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Jesse. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I know we've got a lot to explore, and I know you just dipped out for a second. So if you want to bring up your presentation and give us a little bit of a visual overview of where you're going, why you're going, all this good stuff, feel free to bring that up. And then we have a ton of time for questions at the end. So if you're on YouTube, if you're on StreamYard, we're going to take all your queries and more. And if you've got extra questions when we're done, we'll also pass them along to Sarah. So lots of opportunity to learn today. And there you are. Sarah, how's it going? There
good. Yeah,
Sweet.
Really good here in Christchurch. It's early in the morning and I'm ready to go and excite you guys on your Friday afternoon, Halloween. Love seeing those costumes.
Not only is it Halloween, not only is our live class of a banana and a hot dog, but it is also Game 6 of the World Series, which I've got to say, as a Blue Jays fan, I'm tremendously excited for us to crush the Dodgers. And we're going to see how that goes, but fingers crossed to us all. Your screen share's up. If you want to bring up the PowerPoint, we can dive in and do this thing. Awesome.
Okay, great. So can you see that? Is that all good to go? You see,
I'm getting ready to deploy
to the South Pole.
Take us away.
Awesome. So I'm so happy to be here this morning. It's this morning because I'm living in the future. I'm in New Zealand, and we are ahead of you guys that might be calling in from the United States. There are some students in New Zealand, so that's exciting. You've already had your Halloween activities. So we went trick-or-treating last night, but Halloween isn't really even that big of a deal here in New Zealand. But I hope you guys have an amazing time and get lots of candy and brush your teeth afterwards. My mom is a dentist, so that's always important. Anyways, I'm here in New Zealand and I'm getting ready to go to the South Pole. So I'm so excited for this partnership with Reach the World and Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants to take you on that journey. So I'll tell you a little bit today. I'm going to tell you who I am, where I'm going, and what I'm doing. And I'll do that by showing you some maps, some pictures, and chat with you guys, maybe get some audience participation, and then we'll do some questions at the end. And if you don't quite get time for your questions, you can have your teachers email me or Jesse, and I'll be able to answer them later. So who am I? My name is Sarah Bouckoms, and I am a lot of different things. I love running and ice climbing and rock climbing. I love skiing. I love horseback riding. I did my degree in physics. So I studied astronomy and physics at university and got my master's working with this exact same project that I'm going down to the South Pole with, the IceCube Neutrino Observatory. And I've also worked as an assistant forest ranger. I've worked as an EMT and a wilderness EMT. I'm even a wilderness medicine instructor. So I've done lots of different things. And sometimes it feels like, whoa, how did I get so many different experiences? And then sometimes I apply for these jobs and I'm like, wow, everything I have is a skill that's helped me get to this job that I've gotten to today, with plenty of rejection letters and jobs I didn't get in the past, but I kept applying and I stuck with it. And so I'm here today and I've got this job working with the IceCube Neutrino Observatory. And one of the things that hasn't changed is that I loved to make snowmen when I was little. And then I found this picture, and apparently I still love to make snowmen. So even though I go down to Antarctica and this cold, icy place, I still just love to play in the snow and have fun. One of the things that I do for work down in Antarctica is I've been a safety officer at the South Pole. So I went down there in 2022, and I was the safety officer. And that's a picture of me inside the station. You can't really tell that I'm at the South Pole. So here's this picture, and you can kind of get a better idea that, oh, yeah, it might be a little bit chilly outside. But there was 44 of us, and we wintered over at the station. So there was nobody else coming or going for 10 months of the year. And some of the people just got a plane into the station. So that's very exciting that winter of 25 has just ended, and I'm about to go down to the South Pole for summer of 2025. If any of that is sounding a little bit wonky, remember the seasons are opposite on the bottom of the world. So we're going into summertime here in New Zealand. So these are some of the people that I wintered with in 22, and some of them are going to be back at the South Pole this summer. And my fun fact about wintering over at the South Pole is that when we were down there and the planes weren't able to come or go, the closest people to us on the whole entire planet weren't on the planet. They were on the International Space Station. We were so far from any other people that the closest people were actually in outer space. So that's what it was like to winter over at the South Pole. But now I'm going for the summer, and that's a new adventure for me. So where is the South Pole? Let's just make sure we've got this straight. We got the Arctic at the top, and the Antarctic is at the bottom. So going to the bottom of the globe as most people see it on a map. But it's really funny because actually Antarctica isn't on a lot of maps, but I've got some good ones that change that perspective. So how are we going to get there? First, we've got to start somewhere in the world. A lot of people fly through Los Angeles if they're coming from the Northern Hemisphere, and then they come to Christchurch, and then they go to McMurdo. Really conveniently, I was already in Christchurch, so that's where a place that I live. So it's not that far for me to get to McMurdo, but it's still pretty far. 9,000 miles for people to travel from LA to McMurdo Station. And then we've got to get on another plane to get to the South Pole. So it's a pretty big journey. So here's a map that I like because it puts Antarctica at the center, and you can see all of these green dots are gateway cities to Antarctica. And one of them is Christchurch. So there's only 5 places that you can travel to Antarctica, and one is Christchurch. So that makes a lot of sense to be the place where I am right now. And it actually has been a place that people have traveled to Antarctica for a long time. Captain Scott came down here as a historic explorer, and he left from Christchurch in 1901. And one of the places that he came was the Botanic Gardens, where he was making sure all of his instruments were good to go down to the South Pole. So I went there the other day, and mostly just because I wanted to smell the flowers and look at all the green things and soak it up. Oh, I love smelling flowers. When you guys walk past a flower, can you just smell it for me? Because I'm about to go 4 months without being able to smell a single flower. Yeah. Nothing really smells at the South Pole, actually. So this sign said I was still 5,000 kilometers away from the South Pole. So even though I'm closer in Christchurch, I still have a long way to go. All right. How about some audience participation here, Jesse? Could you ask some of the students to think in their head, what do they think the size of Antarctica is compared to the U.S.?
So I can not only do it in their heads, but for our YouTube audience, if you guys want to chime in the chat, Antarctica to compare to the U.S., Mr. LeVogue's class, I can come to you live if you want. You can just yell it out so we can check in on Florida and see, what do we think? Antarctica compared to the U.S. What do we think? Hi, guys. How big? Same size, smaller, bigger, what?
We got a bunch of bigger.
A little bigger, a little smaller.
Bigger?
We had a bit of everything, actually. No, okay. All over the place. Sarah, I think most are bigger. But how much bigger?
Great. Much bigger? About 1.5 times bigger, to be precise. And did you know that in the wintertime, this water in the ocean freezes around, so the sea ice freezes? And Antarctica doubles in size. So it will be 3 times the size of the United States. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
And if you're in New Zealand, that's 52 times the size of New Zealand to make up Antarctica. It's got 90% of the world's ice and 70% of the world's fresh water. It is an amazing continent. It is the highest and driest and coldest and windiest and cleanest place on the face of this earth. And that's where I'm going to get to go. I got another question for you. Put this one in your heads. What do you think is my favorite thing about this massive icy place?
I mean, you are a big snowman fan, so that's what I'm going to go with. Endless snowman opportunities. And maybe your least favorite is lack of flowers, given the rest of our talk right now. but do tell.
All of those things would make a lot of sense, but it's not. And it's not penguins either. Everybody thinks that penguins are the best part about Antarctica, but that's not my favorite part. My favorite part is the politics of Antarctica. I think it is so amazing that this place, this continent, not a country, there's no president or prime minister or chancellor, nobody owns it. The whole entire place, 1.5 times the size of the United States, is dedicated to peace and science. There was a treaty, a piece of paper that 12 countries signed in 1959, and now there's 56 countries that have signed this piece of paper, and they're there to protect Antarctica. And I think that is the coolest thing, that all of these countries work together and say, hey, I got a runway, you got a boat. Do you want to share our resources? Somebody's hurt. Can we help you? We got this cool data. Do you want to see what we've been doing? Do you need any help with this? All of these countries work together down there with lots of logistics behind that. But there's a true sense of international cooperation in Antarctica that you do not see anywhere else in the world, that I just find to be the most amazing thing about it. And doing that cooperation for the United States is the National Science Foundation with the United States Antarctic Program. And that's who I'm going down with to support science at the bottom of the world. And the project that the NSF supports is the IceCube collaboration. And here's a map of all of these different countries that are involved with the project that I'm working with. So you can really see that it is an international organization with people from all around the world, from the United States, from New Zealand, from tons of countries. So that's what I think is so neat about working in Antarctica. So what is IceCube? What is this big project that we're going down there to do? So it's kind of like a telescope, but not really, because it's not really something that you would put your eyeball to an eyepiece kind of a telescope. It's an observatory, and we're looking for these little tiny particles that are very difficult to find. So we've basically used the entire Earth as a filter and the Antarctic ice cap as the lens to try and see these particles as they're coming from outer space. So what we've done in the ice is install these detectors, about a basketball-sized detector into the ice. Here's another question for you to ask the audience, Jesse, with a number. How many detectors do we think that we've already put into the ice for the IceCube Neutrino Observatory?
You know what? I've got to say, I don't even have the foggiest clue about this. So if you're on YouTube and you want to chime in, Mr. Laveau's class, how many detectors do we think? I would say, like my guess, while you guys are getting ready, is like maybe a couple hundred?
Jesse!
What do we think?
500. We got 500. We got 1,000.
1,000. Going once, going twice.
167
million. A million's the highest.
Not a million. A million might be too many, but more than 100. You ready to know the answer?
We're ready to know the answer. 220, all these great answers. Yeah, tell us. Drum roll, please.
5,160 detectors are already installed in the ice.
Woo!
So it's over a cubic kilometer that these detectors are installed. And that's why it's called IceCube, because it's 1K by 1K by 1K. And that's where those detectors are, in deep down into the ice of the Antarctic ice cap. So we're going down this summer and we're going to put in some more, 700 more, because it's been 15 years since we finished making IceCube and we've got better technology now. So we want to make it bigger and better so we can improve the data that we've already got and get better data from the future. So that's what I'm helping with, is doing safety for this IceCube upgrade and installing 700 more instruments into the ice. So it's called IceCube Upgrade. And in case you were wondering, the Eiffel Tower isn't actually in the ice. That's just a picture down there to give you an idea for the scale of how massive this observatory is at the South Pole. Jesse, can I pop up that animation to show? Because I think that does a really good job of explaining how IceCube works.
Let's do it. I'm going to put you in the background while you bring that up, and then I'll bring it up the moment we have it. Again, folks, if you want to learn more about all this stuff, I put IceCube's main website in the chat. I've passed along Reach the World's amazing page. It's going to be following Sarah on her whole journey, and it looks like we have our animation up. So I'll make sure to share that with all our registered classes, put them in the chat. Make sure you check them out when we're done. Sarah, our animation's up. Let's do it.
Okay, so here we have those 5,000 detectors in the ice, and this is kind of what it looks like when IceCube sees a neutrino. Boom, it's coming from outer space, and it collides with an atom, and then it carries on through the detector, and it makes a rainbow of light in the ice, and then those detectors gather the information, and they send a little signal up to the surface. And there's a lot of computers up in this IceCube laboratory that we have at the surface. And then it goes, hey, scientists, we saw something really cool in outer space. And then the scientists can look at it and be like, whoa, look at what's happening out there. So that's the idea of how IceCube works with these 5,000 detectors in the ice. Okay, I'll go back to my presentation now.
Let's do it. Awesome. I'll just put those in the chat while we're waiting. And again, we've got so many more of these broadcasts to come. So this is Sarah's first journey with us, but we're really excited when she gets down to Antarctica to do a bevy of other programs. Let's do it. Here we go.
Okay, so these particles that we've been talking about, neutrinos, I think it's very appropriate that I'm speaking to you on Halloween because these neutrino particles got the name of being the ghost particle because they were so hard to see. Almost impossible. And it's really difficult for me to show you a picture of a neutrino because, I mean, could I show you a picture of a ghost? Not really. Or another way that I think of it is like, can you see the wind? Not really, but you can see the leaves moving in the wind. So that's what we're doing is we can't really see a neutrino, but I can show you the light that is emitted when a neutrino interacts in the ice. So that's what I have with this rainbow of light is a particle that traveled through Antarctica, smashed into an atom, another really tiny particle, and emitted this really bright cascade of light. So that's the best thing that I can do to show you what a neutrino looks like because they're a ghost particle. They're really hard to see. And that's also another reason why we're going down with IceCube to make the upgrade because if it's like you're trying to catch a butterfly, you want to have a better butterfly net so you can catch more or tinier butterflies. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to be able to understand these neutrino particles better by making a better butterfly net to capture them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I hope it does. Maybe you've got questions about what neutrinos are, and I'm happy to answer them at the end. But that's the best that I can do to show you what a picture of a neutrino looks like because they're a ghost particle. They're very hard to capture. And we're not even capturing them. We're not stopping them. They're going to carry on. We just can't even see them. They're going to go on into outer space like they didn't even know that we were there. So here we are. This is a bunch of us that had a training. This is how we got ready to go down to Antarctica to install these new detectors. So there's going to be about 50 of us that are going down, and we had this training in Wisconsin. I'm there in the middle with a tie-dye t-shirt because I also love tie-dye. And we were practicing using this drill tower to install the instruments onto the cable and getting ready and getting to know each other because we didn't all know each other before. So it's a good opportunity for us to get ready, learn the team, learn what's going on down there. So this is part of the drill team that I'll be working with to install the detectors. So what do I have to do next to get to go down there? You saw us in those t-shirts in Wisconsin, but it's not going to be t-shirt weather at the South Pole. So we've got to get our EC Dub, our extreme cold weather gear. And that's how I really feel like I'm going to Antarctica is when I get this big red jacket. And I've got one to show you today. And my hat, just to prove that it's me in the pictures, it's the same hat that my friend knit for me. Ugh. Ugh. But then I put this big jacket on and I feel like I'm ready to go. Except the problem is it's really hot here in Christchurch inside a room in a hotel. So I can't wear this for so long. But this is the big jacket, the big red jacket that I've got, and I'm ready to go down to the South Pole. Whoa. Got to get the gear, got to do the packing, say goodbye to my friends and family, and then I've got to get on a plane. And that could be happening as soon as Monday morning. But what kind of plane am I going to go in? What do you think? Is it going to be the C-17 flown by the United States Air Force? Maybe it'll be the New York Air National Guard, and I'll go in the LC-130, these amazing planes that have skis on the bottom of them so that they can land on the icy runway better, because there's no tarmac down in Antarctica. We're just landing on the ice. And then I'll go to South Pole, and will I fly in a Basler, this really fun small plane that even has window seats so you can look out over the polar plateau and fly for hours and over the mountains and the glaciers and the ice caps. And then you see this little black dot, and it's the South Pole Station, and you realize that that's going to be your home for the next couple of months. So we'll see what kind of aircraft takes me down. It's always a bit of a mix of which one's up in the air, but that's a possibility of the planes that I could be flying on to get to the South Pole. So here we are. We're wrapping up at the end. My name is Sarah. I am going to the South Pole, and I am doing safety with the IceCube Upgrade. So can you say that 10 times fast, Sarah, the scientist at the South Pole?
Scientist at the South Pole.
I don't know if
I failed on one. Raps.
But that's a little bit about me, what I'm doing, where I'm going. And I hope you guys continue to follow along with the journey, because next time that I talk to you, I am actually going to be at the South Pole. There will be no more dogs to pet, no more flowers to smell. It'll be the white desert everywhere.
Very, very cool. Oh, cool. Sorry. Go ahead. Bring it up.
Yeah, that's it. Back to you, Jesse. I wanted to know what questions there might be from the audience.
Awesome. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for the deep dive and all the cool stuff you're up to. If you want to come out of screen share so you can see us, have a bit of a conversation. We love the jacket. We love the adventure. Very, very cool stuff. We are going to dive in with a nice long Q&A. We've got ample time together. Mr. Laveau's class, I'm going to be coming to you guys a whole bunch in the next few minutes, but we'll give you a second to think while we take some of our awesome ones from YouTube. So, first ones. Kansas City, you guys have so many questions. It's great. Why did you first want to go to Antarctica? When you began your first journey down there, what was the impetus, or was it a cool opportunity that was just thrown into your lap?
It was definitely not a cool opportunity thrown into my lap this time. I applied in grad school and I got rejected the first time. So I applied again and I got in. But I was so excited to go down with this program, the postgrad certificate in Antarctic studies, because it let me go down to Antarctica to do research, which I did at Scott Base in 2008. And that's how I started to do my own personal research project at the end of that degree and started to work with IceCube, and that led into my master's. So it was a program at the University of Canterbury that I applied for and got to go down. And I was just so fascinated with Antarctica. I wanted to learn anything and everything I could about it, since I heard about it when I was 18 years old at the Antarctic Center here in Christchurch. My grandma took me and I was like, whoa, what is this place? I didn't get a chance to learn about it too much in school because I mostly went to school in the Northern Hemisphere, and Antarctica wasn't such a big conversation. So when I learned about it, I was like, what is this place? I need to go. I need to learn everything I can about it.
And I love this. And by the way, as a person who's had a bunch of people that have been to Antarctica on the broadcast before, everyone we've ever done an Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants that goes to Antarctica wants to go back. Like, it's a place that really puts its hooks in you and is just, it changes your life. And so I hope for our students, you get the chance. Tourists can go to Antarctica. They can't go to the South Pole base. You have to be someone who's going to be working there in some fashion. Wait, Sarah, what? Am I wrong about that?
Nope, there is a small outfitter that will take tourists to the South Pole. You can fly in and spend an hour there and then leave.
A whole hour for $1 bazillion? No way. No, better to be one of the scientists or people working. Yeah. That's so funny. But it's such a special place. So I love that that's our first question. Thank you very, very much, guys. All right, we're heading to North Palm Beach. Mr. Laveau's class, take us away with a live question and we'll head back to YouTube in a second. Hey, guys.
Hi. Good morning, Sarah. It's afternoon here in sunny Florida. We lost our banana. He had to go take a math test. But our hot dog has a question.
Hot dog!
Oh, yeah.
Yes!
I'll take the hot dog question.
Okay. How did you discover that Antarctica was the best place to research neutrinos?
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Good question. How did we discover that IceCube was the best place to study neutrinos? So through a lot of trial and error, IceCube is not the only neutrino observatory in the world. The first one was in 1986 off the coast of Hawaii. And then there's a bunch that have been built now, some in Lake Baikal and the Sudbury Neutrino Observatory, the KM3 net in the Mediterranean. There's a bunch of different ones. And so those were sort of trialed and errored. And some were in the ocean, some were in the bottom of mines with the vats of chemicals. So there's lots of different mediums, because I should make this clear. This is a really good question. Neutrinos are not more likely to interact in Antarctica than they are anywhere in the world. In fact, there's about 50 trillion of them that have gone through you just every single second. Did anybody feel any?
Yeah. Do you feel the tingle, the neutrino tingle? Like they're literally passing through your body right now. We know this. We can prove this scientifically, which is crazy. Millions and millions of them right now, which is very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But nobody should have felt them because they're so hard to find, right? They're the ghost particle. They're like, ooh, spooky action. You can't see them. You can't feel them. So they're everywhere in the world. So there's neutrino observatories all over the globe. But what we found, and this is a scientist that had the idea of, let's go pressurize the ice, because the ice travels through, or the light travels through the ice really well, right? Like light can't travel through a rock or a wall, but light can travel through ice. So, okay, where is there a lot of ice? Antarctica. So that's where the first neutrino observatory, Amanda, was built, the Antarctic muon and neutrino detector array. And that was the first one. And that was such a success. And there were so many good learnings from it that IceCube was like, ooh, we need to make another one. So that's where IceCube took over where Amanda left off. So I hope that answers the question of why is Antarctica the best place? Because it's just got so much ice and it's such a good detection medium for neutrinos.
Yeah. So a couple notes on neutrino observatories too. You mentioned Snow Lab particularly. We've gone to Snow Lab. So both Joe and I as hosts have been in Snow Lab underneath the ground, like a mile down, standing there with the scientists in Snow Lab. It's a super, super cool spot. So this is going to be a really cool opportunity for us to follow up on some neutrino stuff. And in general, so Antarctica is a special place for a lot of science because there's, again, fewer people, less pollution, lots of other cool things. We can launch balloons from there. So we've talked about some really neat science in the past, but I love the neutrino angle, and that's a great question, Hot Dog. Thank you very much for being our first ever Hot Dog questioner in the history of the program. YouTube has a ton. Okay. Akash wants to know, what is the advantage or use of knowing about neutrinos? And do we even have an answer for this right now?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. What is the advantage of studying neutrinos? Here's the analogy that I like to use. And we don't always know what we're going to get out of this. Like, that's why I really love this science project, because it's not like we're doing something I'm like, I'm going to be able to guarantee you that we're going to get better cell phone reception, or your Gore-Tex jacket is going to be more waterproof. Not what IceCube is kind of doing. We're just asking a lot of questions to understand what's happening in our universe. Really basic questions that I think are the most interesting to ask. So here's the analogy. Imagine you were an alien on Earth, and all you could do is see. You couldn't smell, you couldn't touch, you couldn't hear, nothing. How much more would you learn about the world you lived in if you could see and hear? And that's what neutrinos are doing for us. They're not anything else like we observe. They are a totally different detection medium off of the electromagnetic spectrum. They are a different type of particle. So that's what I think is going to we just don't even know what we're going to know.
Yeah. And this is the most exciting thing. And it's a really hard thing to explain, not just to classrooms, but to adults, frankly, which is just the magic and importance of pure science. We want to know because a huge fraction of how we understand the universe, we don't know. You can ask the most elite scientists in the world on what we know about the universe, and dark energy, dark matter, neutrinos and how they interact, elementary particles that we have yet to find or are trying to find. Like, these are some really basic things about the cosmos around us that we don't understand. And so when we find that out, not only is it exciting for its own sake, but a great example of pure science. We studied the bacterial immune system, how bacteria fight off infections. And from that, we got the greatest genetic engineering tool of all time that has a high chance of curing some of the most intractable diseases on this planet, right? We studied the atmospheres of other worlds. And in doing that, like, oh, what's Venus's atmosphere like? And then doing that, we found out that we were destroying our own ozone layer and helped save basically millions of lives on Earth and heal that. So pure science is thrilling for its own sake, because how cool to get to know something that we've never known before. The analogy of getting sight when you don't have it is a really great one. But who knows where we're going to be in 10, 15 years on what our discoveries at IceCube will give us. So great answer, Sarah. Thank you. One that isn't specifically related to IceCube, but I like just the same from our Kansas City class. What is your favorite animal you're hoping to see in Antarctica? And are there animals at the South Pole base at all?
My favorite animal does live in Antarctica, actually. I could possibly see it when I am passing through McMurdo, but it is an orca, a whale, a killer whale. Actually, they're dolphins, fun fact. And they might be around the coast. Probably too much sea ice this time of the year. So I would be more likely to see them in February when I'm leaving the South Pole and passing by the coast. But I might see them there. I also really love horses and squirrels and dogs, cats, everything. I do love animals. But you know what? There's not going to be any animals at the South Pole. So again, can you guys do me a favor? And every single time you see a dog or a cat or a horse, just pet their soft fur, and imagine not being able to do that for 4 months or even 10 months.
It's a long time. For the students that might know that penguins are in Antarctica, they live near the coast, and they live near the coast because they hunt fish. So there's nothing that wanders in as far as the South Pole. You, in theory, could have something like a bird fly over, but there'd be no reason to fly over that expanse of basically desert. And Antarctica is the largest desert in the world. There's hardly any precipitation. You'd have to fly into the middle of the continent for no reason, for no food, for nothing. So I don't think you're going to see a horse. You can look at pictures of horses online and just you whistle as you go.
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah, you better believe that there is like a whole entire wall dedicated to pictures of dogs down there, and everybody puts their pet dogs.
I want to highlight something, actually. You talked about plants and flowers. My understanding, certainly in McMurdo, like there is a greenhouse in McMurdo Station, which is near the coast. At the South Pole Station, is there a room full of plants? I thought there was, but I could be wrong about that.
Vice versa. There is a greenhouse at South Pole, and there is nothing at McMurdo or Scott Base on Ross Island in terms of green growing things. But South Pole does have a hydroponic. So there's only water. There's no soil, because you can't have soil or dirt because we don't want to introduce any bacteria. That's another thing that the Antarctic Treaty has done to protect Antarctica, is we don't want to bring soils or bacteria from plants into Antarctica, because that could affect the ecosystem, especially around the coast. Because 2% of Antarctica is exposed rock. I know I just told you that it had 90% of the world's ice, but 2% of Antarctica is rock, or has a rock exposed. But there is land underneath all of that ice. Long story short, we have a greenhouse, and it does sometimes get us enough for a small salad.
Thank you for clarifying. And I want to highlight for our kids too, when we have people that go to sea for many months, when we have astronauts on, universally, the thing they miss the most is green. Like they miss plants and touching plants and feeling plants. So it's very cool that they have that there for psychological reasons, if nothing else. Mr. LeBeau's class, we're going to head to you guys for another question. Come on in and take us away. Hey, guys.
Hi, we have Addison here, who's a forest spirit for Halloween. She has a question.
So what do you do? Like, one, do you have free time? And two, what do you do in your free time?
What am I doing with my time?
Your free time, yeah.
Question?
Yeah.
When I'm down there, so most of the time I will be doing safety is my primary role. So that's making sure that people have the right gear that they need. In that picture, I had like a hard hat and hearing protection and safety goggles and a high-vis jacket. So it's making sure that people have all the equipment that they need to do their job safely. Like, say you're going to go do a sport and maybe you want to go rollerblading. Do you have a helmet? Do you have your knee pads? Do you have your elbow pads? Okay, cool. You can go do this sport safely. Have you gotten into a car? Are you buckled up? All of those little things, I just make sure that people are doing them in the right order. Maybe there's some processes to think about, like, what do you think could go wrong? What would happen if you got hurt doing this? Could you possibly start a fire? Could you hurt a finger? Or are you just too tired and maybe your mind is not really focusing on what you're doing? So that's what I will be doing with most of my time. 6 days a week, I will be working. to make sure that people are doing their job safely.
And I want to highlight something because my understanding is, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, that when you go to Antarctica, someone who's going to live and work on the bases, you do get like mandatory safety training of some kind to begin so that you're not in a situation where if you were to walk out on the ice at night, you would get lost. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Oh, absolutely. But at night in Antarctica at the South Pole doesn't exist. The sun's up 24/7, remember. But yes, we have so many safety trainings. That's what we were doing in Madison, Wisconsin in August for 3 weeks. And that's my job is making sure that people have the skills that they need to do what they're doing down there safely. So there's tons of training because you have to think, if you were to get hurt, right? You guys are in Florida, you would go to a hospital. We don't really have a full hospital down at South Pole. We have one doctor and one PA. And if you get hurt, you're going to have to leave. And you're probably not going to be able to come back to do your job. And everybody's job is so important. So it's way better to make sure that nobody gets hurt in the first place than to have to figure out what to do when we don't have that person. And plus, nobody wants to get hurt.
Oh, I want to stress this, and this was in 1960, so it was a long time ago. We probably have better protocols now, but at the Antarctic base in the winter, the Russian surgeon that was down there had to operate on his own appendix and take it out in 1961. So we're not in that sort of situation anymore. Hopefully there's multiple doctors that can help prevent that sort of thing, but like people are prepared.
Yeah. And well, 1960, in the early 2000s, the doctor down there developed breast cancer, a very aggressive form. She didn't have it when she first went down. And 8 months later, she had started to develop tumors. And so she had to do an operation on herself.
Wild. So lucky us to be in North America where hospitals are readily at hand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Sarah, we got a question similar from Donna on YouTube. Wants to know, what are you going to do in your spare time when you're not helping people with safety? Are you reading? Are you watching movies? Eating salads? Tell us more. Looking at horse pictures?
All of those things. Not horseback riding, but I love reading. I'll be doing some yoga. We have a bouldering gym down there. It's a small little rock wall and you can climb. And I love going there and I'll blast my music and I'll go climbing and I'll bring myself a package of Sour Patch Kids and that is my jam. And we play soccer on Wednesday nights. I used to play soccer as a kid, and it's so much fun to play with a team of people down there. Maybe, I'll just casually go and ski around the South Pole because they've got skis down there. So I can just go do what Shackleton didn't do and then go inside and have a cheese toastie and a hot cup of cocoa to warm up.
So I bought Halloween candy the other day in advance of tonight to give it out. And the fact that you chose Sour Patch Kids as your go-to thing there. So it was a mixed box. And all we did was eat Sour Patch Kids, and I've developed a bit of an addiction, so I understand completely. Chocolate, universally, when people go on remote expeditions, seems to be like the number one favorite thing, but I'm glad to have a fellow candy fan. Thank you very much for that. Sarah, time flies and you're having fun. I want to stress for our classes, again, there's so many more things to keep the learning going. We're going to pass these along to everyone when we're done the broadcast. But before we wrap up and say farewell, Mr. Laveau's class, if you've got a third and final question for us, come on in and please do email us more. We can pass them to Sarah en route to the South Pole. But take us away, guys. Hey.
We got one more. Nathan, want to go ahead?
Yeah.
I want to get on the screen.
Hang on, you got to see his costume.
Okay,
Hey.
Go ahead. What's your question, Nathan?
What type of foods do you usually get? Like, does a plane come and bring supplies and stuff to you guys?
Yeah. How are you restocked, Sarah? What's the food like?
Yeah, food. Food is extremely important for morale in Antarctica. It always has been since the historic time. And I'm lucky because the planes are flying in the summer, so they'll be able to bring in fresh produce. I could even be eating a banana at the South Pole. Wow. So we do get some fresh things, but the majority of things are going to be tinned and frozen and sort of just stocked up down there. Oh, and in the winter, of course, planes don't fly to the South Pole. So all you're eating is the tin food, maybe a few greens from the greenhouse, but not much. Like you might get a slice of tomato a couple times a month, sort of. You're not getting a lot of vegetables and fresh things down there for sure. So a lot of frozen, but the chefs do a great job, and it's amazing some of the things that they are able to make down there. We get eggs, and we can make burritos with them. There's lots of baked goods. The bread's really good. So yeah, they do feed us. We're not starving to death. We're not taking chunks of butter into our pockets. We do get plenty of food down there, but I will tell you, I will be really excited to get back and just eat all the fresh produce and avocado and fresh good ice cream. Oh my gosh.
There used to be a bunch of horses down there, but the scientists just had to eat them all because it was no. Sarah,
You're not
thank you
wrong, actually, Jesse.
Thank you so much for your passion, your expertise, all this. I hope it's the best flight. I hope you're down there really soon and get to work on this really cool mission. What a wild adventure. And just thank you so much for giving us a little bit of an update before you go. Is there any last message you want to share with us before we bring in Mr. LeVogue's class and the YouTube classes to say a big thank you and farewell?
Yeah, it was just really nice chatting with you guys. And I hope you do follow along. We've talked about all the things that I'm going to miss, whether it's flowers or trees. But the thing I'm probably going to miss the most is talking to kids and having them in my world, because there's no children at the South Pole. There's no schools. So actually, if you guys follow along, that would be the best thing that you could do, because I love talking to you. So send me questions. The thing I'm most excited about this summer is to share this experience with classrooms. So that's my last message, is I really do hope you follow along and figure out what kind of plane it took to get me to the South Pole. And when I get there, I'm supposed to leave on Monday, but maybe I'll go on Friday. Who knows? Planes get delayed. So follow along, and I would love to hear more of your questions and share my experience with you, because I will really miss working with students.
No better message than that. Thank you. It's why us and Reach the World do exactly what we do. And I hope you get to be on a plane with skis, because it totally rocks. And who gets to be on a plane with skis? So fingers crossed. As you know, we're going to bring in Mr. LeVogue's class to say a big thanks and farewell. If anyone's on YouTube and you want to scream and yell and annoy the principal, you absolutely have our permission. Mr. LeVogue, North Palm Beach, thank you so much for your great questions. Have a wonderful day, everyone. And bye for now, Sarah. We'll see you all soon. Farewell.